Right. This afternoon, I want to talk to you about one word. As I said, one word that can change your life. This one word has the power to change anything and everything. This one word could change your financial situation. It could change your relationships, and it can definitely change your business. It can help you get to where you dream of being in your business. This one word is mind-blowing. Excuse the pun. You'll get the pun in a bit. The word is metacognition. Now, what's metacognition? Metacognition is a word that I just love to say. It's a fun word to say. Metacognition is a concept that's been around for years, many years. From Aristotle's time, it's been around for ages, but it's not a very well-known word. Would you like some water, Jade? Not embarrassing people much today. Metacognition roots back to the original Greek root word meta, which means beyond or change, and then cognition, which is an awareness of your thought processes. But what does it mean? In a nutshell, metacognition is simply think about what you think about. That's what it is. The ability to do this is so powerful. And if we can grasp this today, I guarantee you'll start seeing results right here, right now. You'll leave here. This is one of those messages where you can see instant application and instant results. It's also a word that is so loaded because we think about, on average, 30,000 thoughts a day. Did you know that? 30,000 thoughts. We are thinking all the time. We are constantly thinking about things. We are constantly seeing things and watching things, scrolling through things, thinking about things. About 30,000 thoughts a day. The problem with those 30,000 thoughts is that 70% of them are negative and redundant. We're thinking a lot of nonsense. Now, what's that got to do with anything? How can that change my life? Your thoughts determine your direction. Your life is moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts. Have you ever considered that? So, you can predict your future. I can predict your future. I can pretty much tell where you're going simply by what you're thinking about. And how do I know what you're thinking about? Our thoughts often come out of our mouth. So I can listen, we can have a conversation, and I can very quickly have a pretty good idea the direction that you're heading, and so can you. Changing one thought can change the trajectory of your life. One thought, and imagine if you change two thoughts, you could turn your whole life around by changing the way you think. Thoughts are so powerful. I want you to visualize this. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. If you don't, just stare at me blankly for a few seconds. Okay, visualize this. You're sitting on a breakfast bar stool in front of a big window, leaning on the breakfast bar, feeling the warm sun on your skin. You're looking out the window and you can hear the birds chirping in the background. You take hold of your glass of iced sparkling water and have a sip. And then you notice the bowl of lemons next to you and thinking, I'm going to spice this drink up a bit. And so you pick up a lemon and you smell it. It smells so nice and fresh. And then you slice the lemon and, those little juice sacs burst open and they fill the air with a nice, fresh, lemony smell. You take a slice or two off and you pop it in your sparkling water and you take a sip. Very refreshing. And then you think, I think I want a bit more lemony, and you just take a little slice out of your sparkling water and you have a little bite. I don't know if anybody else does that. And you have a nice bite and it bursts in your mouth. The flavors and the freshness is opening all your senses. Are you salivating a little bit? Can you perhaps taste a little bit of lemon in your mouth? That's the power of thought. Okay, most of you, probably you should all be. If you weren't, you weren't listening to me. No, I'm just joking. But that's the power of thought. You've just had a physical response. Something has happened inside your body because you were thinking about a lemon. That's the power of thought, and that's just a small example. Think about the placebo effect. Now this is, studied, this is proven scientifically, this is proven medically. If you believe in something so strongly, it can have a physical effect on your body. You can get healed from something because you believe you're taking a pill that's the cure, and actually it's just a sugar pill. The placebo effect is so powerful. Why? Because we believe something, and beliefs come from thoughts, and I'm going to explain that in a bit. The opposite is also true. You get the nocebo effect, the negative side of it. You believe something negative so strongly, it can make you ill. Have you heard of phantom pregnancies? People believe or they want a baby so badly that they manifest physical symptoms of pregnancy. Some people have even experienced all the way up to labor pains, and yet there was no baby. That's the power of our mind. That's the power of thoughts. In your book, if you open up to the middle, there's a place to write notes. And if you flip over, you'll see the 3 circles. And I'm going to talk you through these 3 circles today. The first one, we've just covered thoughts. Change your thought, you can change your life. Now, thoughts. The next step are beliefs. What are beliefs? Beliefs is something that you believe to be true because you think about it over and over again. Your thoughts will produce your beliefs. And beliefs are very powerful. If we believe something, it's true to us. But it may not be true. It may not be fact. But it's true to us. So we go from thoughts, they form our beliefs. Now, our beliefs are very difficult to change, but I'm going to tell you today how you can change them. And there are some beliefs we need to change, because there are a few women here today, and you believe you're not good enough. That's not fact. That's not true. That's your belief. You are good enough, but you're thinking you're not. So it's forming your belief that you're not good enough. So we can change that today, and that will change everything. You may have had a trauma in childhood. A lot of our beliefs stem from childhood. A lot of what we believe to be true comes from our childhood experience and our upbringing. But it's not fact, it's not the truth, it's your truth. After our beliefs, we then move on to... Sorry. Yeah, I should take my shoes off, shouldn't I? So we have our thoughts, we have our beliefs, and those beliefs will then give us feelings. Okay? So you believe something and then you have a feeling. And our feelings aren't real, because if our beliefs aren't true and our thoughts are incorrect, then what we're feeling may not be true at all. Again, we look at, say for example, somebody feels they're not good enough. They believe they're not good enough. They feel not good enough. They have feelings. The next step in your circles, the final one, okay, action, outcome. You think, you believe, you feel, then you act upon that, and that gives you outcome. So we want to reverse engineer from actions. We want to reverse engineer back to beliefs. We want to go back, all the way back to our thoughts, and look at the root. Look at the things that are stopping us from being who we want to be or achieving what we want to achieve. How do you know what you're thinking? As I said, many of our thoughts come out of our mouth. The first thing you want to do is understand that you don't have to be a slave to your thoughts, especially since 70% are probably negative and redundant. The first thing you want to do is make a decision right here, right now. I'm going to become aware. Awareness is the first step. I want to become aware of my thoughts. I want to become aware of what I'm thinking. Then I can understand why I'm heading in that direction, or then I can understand why I'm having that result. So start becoming aware by listening to yourself. Observe yourself. Listen to what comes out of your mouth. Is it positive? Is it negative? Are you kind to yourself? Are you kind to others? Or are you quite hard or harsh? Consider what's coming out of your mouth. Become aware of your thoughts by listening to what comes out of your mouth. And then look at your self-talk. We all have self-talk, don't we? That little voice that's either encouraging us, saying, you can do it, you're amazing, or that self-talk that says, you're never going to make this, you're a loser, or you're a failure, or whatever. We all have that self-talk. What are you telling yourself? What does your self-talk sound like? And that'll give you an idea of your thought life, and that'll give you an idea of your future, because your talking, your thoughts, your self-talk is determining your future of whatever area of your life. So we look at our feelings. Say, for example, you feel insecure. Let's put it in a relationship context. You feel insecure in a relationship. You feel ill in your stomach. You're feeling a bit clammy and nervous because you're feeling like the person you love is cheating on you. That's a feeling. This isn't real. This is the feeling you're having. And it stems from what? A belief that you have, and that belief comes from your thoughts, and your thoughts are determined by whatever caused you to think that way. You're having this whole chain reaction based on something that's completely untrue, because the person you love is absolutely devoted to you, but you are having these feelings and you can't understand why you feel this way. I'm speaking from experience, that's why I can speak about this so deeply. I remember struggling so much, knowing in my head it's not true, but just feeling so strongly, so insecure, until I realized that that came from a belief, and that came from thoughts, and it all came from my childhood, because I had a few horrible things happen, and it was a pattern, a chain reaction. So how did I become a confident, secure person in my relationships? I had to do the hard work in my mind. I had to go back and look at the beliefs. Why do I believe all men are like that? Why do I think that way? Because of that. Now, I can't change that. That happened. What can I change? My thoughts. I go back to my thoughts. And I start thinking the right way, regardless of how I feel, because my feelings haven't changed yet. I still feel insecure, but I start thinking truth. I start thinking fact. I start thinking all the good things I know about the person I love, and he loves me, and I start thinking all these facts, these truths, and it changes my beliefs over time. And then what happens? The feelings change. Now this is a very raw, very real example, but because we're mostly women here, I feel many of us can relate to that sort of thing. The same is true in business though. The same is true in your finances. You have beliefs, and they feel real, and they feel true. But it's not true, it's not fact, it's your truth. And if you want to change that, go back to the thoughts, identify the thoughts. What you think, you become. Metacognition, what you think, you become. So let's take our thoughts captive. Let's start choosing to be in control of our thoughts. Let's start choosing what we think about. We have more time than we realize in this day and age. The most common complaint I hear is not, I don't have any money. We're in a privileged country. That's not a common complaint. It's, I don't have any time. We're so time poor. But actually, I see so many people, myself included, not judging here, always doing this. We have time, but we have things that sap our time. They hemorrhage our time. And we need to understand that these things are also little seeds. Every time we're watching on Netflix, scrolling through social media, every time we're doing whatever it is we're doing, these are little seeds producing thoughts, and that again is affecting our future, affecting what we believe. In fact, have you watched the program, binge watched, and I'm not the only one, I'm sure, an entire program, and you start to take on a bit of a character of the person that in the program. You start becoming whatever. If you're watching Suits, you become a bit more sassy and a bit more, if you're watching Suits, or if you're watching something else, you become a bit more like, if you're watching it a lot. Why? Those thoughts. You're watching it, then you're thinking it, then you're believing it, then it's producing an outcome, it's producing actions. Again, back to the lemon analogy, our thoughts are so powerful. So, we can take control of our thoughts by deciding what we allow into our mind as well. So I've come up with a little acrostic. I wrote it on my hand because I only wrote it down last night. So I thought this would work really, really well and make it memorable for us. It's called Think. A little acrostic that will help us to rewire our brain. We can completely change the way we think about things. Change isn't easy. It doesn't come naturally to us. We will resist it. And there's never a good time. If you really want to change something in your life, Monday morning is not the time to start. It's now. Make the decision now. Once you've made the decision, you've already started the change process. Just deciding is going to start the change process. If there's something you want to change, there's never a good time. It's never going to be comfortable and it won't be easy. But the process is simple. Think about what you think about. When I was learning how to become a lovely, secure wife and not a very annoying, insecure, codependent wife, I had to continually do the work. It was nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with him. Whether he was good, bad, or ugly, it was all to do with me and my response. And it is the thought. What am I thinking that's making me believe, that's making me feel these yucky feelings? Go back to the thought. Force myself to think. Same in business. Do you know how many times I've nearly given up? I probably don't even know the number of times myself, but several times a year. This is our 7th Women's Business Conference, and I promise you, there are several times every year I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. This is not going to work. This is hard. I don't want to do this anymore. People are horrible. Why are they saying that? I mean, you name it. I've had a gazillion reasons why I should not do what I'm doing. And I can clearly remember, if I just take some time now, a turning point every time. And it wasn't when circumstances changed. It wasn't when the bank balance changed. It wasn't when somebody said something kind to me. Those things are nice. They help. The turning point was always when I decided I can do it. I will do it. I'm born for this. I'm going to succeed. People need me to succeed. I have something to do in this world that only I can do. And it's going to help people. And if I don't do my part, then I'm robbing them of what I have to bring to the party. Those were the turning points in my mind. And guess what happens? Here I am, 7 years later, and we'll see if I'm here next year. But anyway, the point is, the turning point isn't the circumstances, it isn't the finances, it's what's in your mind, the power's in your mind, it's the thought. I can or I can't. I will or I won't. And that's why your why is so important as well. Why am I doing this? If I get stuck, I have to think of why. I think of all the beautiful faces. I think of everybody has a part to play. Everybody has something special to bring to the world. This is what I'm bringing, and it's for the greater good. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Because imagine if I succeed, and that's what I tell myself. Imagine. And then I start to think about what it looks like. If I succeed, this is what it looks like. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. I must do it. And this whole conversation goes on in my mind. And the breakthrough and the things I've seen happen because of the work I've done in my mind. You know, I do a lot of mentoring, and I meet with a lot of people, and I do a lot of public speaking and stuff like that. And I can pretty much tell straight away if someone's going to make it in business. Almost straight away. And it's, I can do this. Or it's like, I can't do this. That sort of talk. They may have the worst situation in business. They may be facing all sorts of challenges. But if they say, I know I can do this, then I think, wow, they can. They can, and then I can work with that. And if they have an MBA and they have the degree and the training, they've gone to Bataris and they're fully equipped with their training, and yeah, you can pay me later. You know, but then they have the attitude of, I can't, or I won't, or just really generally negative. All of that training, all of that experience, everything they have available to them, they won't be able to, and I can't do anything to help. They have to be willing to change the mindset. Now, you could have nothing, no training, but the absolute determination and willingness, and you can get training from Bataris, and I will stop plugging them. But, you know, you can, skills can be gained, but mindset, you have to do the work. So back to the acrostic quickly. Think. So T stands for take time out. Take time out. Okay? If you want to rewire your brain, if you want to change the way you think, if you want to take control of your life and build an amazing life, start with T. Take time out. What does that mean? First of all, we weren't designed to be thinking all the time. We were supposed to think no, maybe that doesn't sound accurate. Of course we're thinking all the time. We weren't designed to be in fight or flight mode, stress mode, intensely thinking all the time. It's almost like we're leaving our hairdryer on all the time and it's going to burn out. The first part of taking time out is allow yourself some time not to be on a device, not to be in a stressful situation. Find yourself, from the wisdom of Winnie the Pooh, a thoughtful spot where you can just think. Find a place. I've recently bought a nice armchair to be my place. In summer, I go sit by the stream by our home on a little log and have my Winnie the Pooh moment and just think. It's so important. We need to take about 10 to 16 minutes every day. A well-known cognitive neuroscientist, Dr. Caroline Leaf, says take 16 minutes a day to allow your mind to think. Just think whatever it wants to think. Who remembers or still does that little disk defrag process on our computers? Anyone? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about, or have done it or do it. Okay, you have those little pictures and then the little files go over there and another little file goes over there and you sit there watching this thing. It's, really hypnotic, where you do your disk-free defrag and it organizes the hard drive of your computer. Our brains are very similar to that in a way. They need time to defrag. The files in our brain need time to get reorganized. And so by just sitting and allowing our brains to think, we sit there and we allow ourselves to think. It's kind of like a disk defrag, if that's the best way I can put it. Once you've allowed yourself that time to think, you will then know what you should be thinking. It's almost like you exhaling. You're like, okay. Then, once you've done that, you can take captive your thoughts and you can say, right, today I'm going to be thinking about this. I'm going to take captive those negative thoughts and I'm going to think positively about it. And you are in full control of your thoughts, and then the whole process, knock-on effect happens. Your thoughts, what comes next? This is a test. The doors are locked, you can't leave if you don't get it right. Thoughts, and then feelings, and then, okay, that's the process. I really want you to remember it. So take control of your thoughts. And then if you want to practice mindful meditation, again, highly recommend it. You can repair burnt out neurotransmitters in your brain by just taking some time to do some meditation. And I won't go into that now, but really very briefly, for me, it's a very simple process of forcing my brain to stop thinking, because I have an overactive brain. And all I do is I force myself to visualize a white canvas on an easel, because that's the closest I can get to thinking of nothing, a white canvas. And every time my mind wanders off, I force my mind back onto the white canvas. 5-10 minutes every day, every so often, gives your brain that break. And then you are fully in control of your thought life. Now, I'm not saying I get it right all the time. I think I'm going to spend my whole life working on this. But I'm glad I'm on the journey. I'm glad I'm aware. So take time out. That's the T. Have a go is the H. Have a go. Try something new. Have you ever felt like you're losing time, like time's going too quickly, like one day just merges into the next, and you're like, where did that week go? Anybody? Okay. We can actually slow down time. When you try something new, you make time more memorable. When you try something new, you are actually doing something that, I don't know all the technical terms behind it, but you're literally doing something that makes it feel like time is slowing down for you, because you're creating these key points in your timeline. Try something new. Something new actually expands your brain, and once the dimensions of your brain have been expanded, they're never going to shrink back. Trying new things is really important. It's really important for us creatively. It's really important on so many levels. And how many of us are losing time because one day is the same as the next, and suddenly we've lost a week and a month, and I'm like, oh no, we've lost a year. It's very important, and it's really, really good for our thinking process to try new things. Okay, where am I up to? I. Identify good. This is one of my favorites. Practice gratitude. Gratitude, when you have a grateful thought, you release dopamine. When you have a grateful thought, these positive, happy hormones flood into your brain. And of course, that will produce what? Positive thoughts. So it's all spirals. Gratitude is wonderful for yourself, but it's wonderful for others. Don't you like being around grateful people? I have some people in my life, they're so grateful, and then you want to do more for them, and then they're so grateful, and it's so lovely to be around people that really express gratitude. So don't only have grateful thoughts, don't think about all the wonderful things you're grateful for, but actually take time to tell people. And following on from that, celebrate little wins. The big wins are usually made up of a lot of small wins anyway, aren't they? Take time to celebrate the little wins. Decide what a little win is and celebrate it and mark it. And why not go one step further and celebrate other people's little wins? Take time to say, you know what, you did a great job there. It's so easy for us to naturally be negative and just, pardon me, to notice when people aren't doing a good job. But let's reprogram our thoughts, our mind, to look at the positives. Imagine how wonderful our work life would be. Imagine how wonderful the world would be if we were all just a little bit more grateful and a little bit more encouraging of each other's little wins, but also our own. It's really important that we take time to acknowledge our own little wins and celebrate them. Give yourself a reward for a job well done. If you want an excuse to buy a new pair of shoes, that's a great excuse. Okay, where am I up to? I. What comes N? N. N stands for no is necessary. The word no is powerful. It's a word that we don't use very often as women. We find it harder to use the word no. And I remember early in my business journey, I remember saying yes to everything and everyone because I felt I had to. And one day I looked at my diary and I discovered all these coffee dates in my diary. People saying, let's meet up for coffee. I was paying for it most of the time. Let's meet up for coffee, and then I ended up paying for it. And then looking at, actually, I've just paid to have coffee with somebody who wanted advice that I gave them. That's not a good business model. I don't know about you, but the math doesn't add up. So I learned to say no. And now I have coffee dates and I have lunch dates and I still love to pay and I don't have a problem with that. But you know what? I decide who I want to spend time with and whether I want to give or whether I just want to spend time with them just for the fun of it. But that really set me free because now I can run a business, I can be successful, I can be profitable so that I can give from abundance rather than giving from lack, which we shouldn't be doing because obviously that's debt. No enabled me to be able to get myself to a position to give. If you like to give, you need to be in a position to give.